What's going on, guys? If y'all clicked on this video, then you guys are ready to ride a motorcycle. In today's video, I'm going to, as quickly and efficiently, take you guys through the entire process of how to ride a motorcycle if you've never experienced a bike before. You guys don't want to sit through a long video. You guys want to get out here and enjoy two wheels. That is what my goal is for today. So let's go over the basics of how to ride a motorcycle as fast as possible. Now, guys, I'm going to be running through this stuff pretty quickly today, but what I'm going to do is leave links in the description. If you guys have more time, I'm going to put resources down there that I know you guys are going to love and be super helpful, but today we're going to be going pretty fast. And guys, before we get this video started, we got to give a shout out to the video sponsor, that is Dairyland. They are an insurance company who want to help you guys get out and ride, which is why they are supporting this video series. So if you guys are getting out there, you got a brand new motorcycle, you want to get out on the street, you have to have insurance. Please do not ride without insurance. I'm going to have a link for you guys for Dairyland in the description down below. Check them out, grab some insurance on your bike before you head out on the road. Shout out to Dairyland for sponsoring this video. Now, let's learn motorcycles. All right, guys, so first up, let's talk about controls because you kind of need to know what options you have to control the motorcycle. Alrighty, if we come to the front of the motorcycle, you guys are going to notice two levers. Let's talk about what these levers do. The lever here on the left is your clutch lever. Basically, what this lever does is it connects your engine to your rear wheel. If you pull this clutch in, regardless of how much throttle you give it, your bike will not translate any power to the rear wheel. This thing is very important. Now, moving on to this lever. This is your front brake lever. And yes, I did say front brake lever. So on a motorcycle, you have a front brake lever that only controls your front wheel and then a rear brake lever that controls your rear wheel. They are not connected, at least on most bikes. Now, some bikes have connected brakes, but we're not going to get into those today. To slow your bike down with the front wheel, you pull the front lever in. All right, guys, those are the levers. So now let's go over to the left side of the motorcycle controls. Over here is where you're most of the time going to have your horn, your turn signals, and your high beam. Now, depending on the motorcycle you have, this area can get a little more complicated. We have a 2023 CFMOTO 450 SS here. So we have a couple extra buttons, and that is so that I can navigate the menu system in the motorcycle. Next up, moving towards the middle, all we have is a key. Now, guys, keys on a motorcycle are different than a car. To turn the bike on, we go to the side, and in a car you would typically turn a little more and crank it up. You are not able to do that on a motorcycle. Don't worry, I'm going to show you guys how to crank up the bike here in a second. Also, with most of these, if you turn the handlebars all the way to the side, you can go down and push, and now the handlebars are locked. That's the only thing that the key does. All right, guys, moving over to the right side, we are going to have our throttle, which is inside of this grip. If you turn it towards you, you will be giving the bike throttle, which will be making you accelerate. We'll get to that in more detail here in a second. Here is the starter. Now, the kill switch is at the very top. It is disengaged now. If I click it down one, the bike is engaged, and if I click it down one more time and I have the key on, that is how to start the motorcycle. Now, I will say this is an integrated starter. Not all motorcycles are like this. A lot of the time it's a up to be off, down to be on, and then there's a starter button. Alrighty, guys, next controls, we'll start on the left side. So we don't have a lot going on down here. We only have your shift lever. Now, on a motorcycle, shifting goes first is at the very bottom, and then up from there goes neutral, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sometimes sixth, depending on your motorcycle. After all, this is a lever and it can only go up and down. There's no side-to-side stuff like there is on a car. That's basically it for the shifter side. Let's go over to the other side. Alrighty, guys, another pretty simple setup over here. We have your footrest, and here is your rear brake. Again, as you can imagine, the rear brake is only going to control the rear tire. And guys, that's it for the controls. Let's get on the bike and let's show you how to crank this thing up. Alrighty, so step one, I'm going to turn my key on. I'm going to see my dash light up. Depending on your motorcycle, you might have a fancier or less fancy dash turn on situation. Now, next up, you guys need to make sure that your bike is in neutral. You're going to know that by some sort of green in or a green light on. Now, if your motorcycle is not in neutral, let me show you guys. It's very easy to make sure it is. Just for the sake, I put it in fourth just so I got to do a little bit of extra work. I'm going to pull my clutch in and on my lever, so I click down. You can see a 3. I click down again. I go to second. You might have to click a couple times so it gets in there. And I went to 1. You're probably wondering, well, Chase, you skipped neutral. That's because sometimes neutral, you got to do a little half click. So be very gentle with it. Boop. And boom, we're in neutral. Now that we have the bike in neutral, we can go over to the kill switch. Now, most of the time your bike is going to have the kill switch disengaged like it is right now. We have the bike turned on. We have it in neutral. I'm now going to click it down once to activate the motorcycle. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I can hear the fuel pump like activating. Pull the clutch in. Now, you don't always have to pull the clutch in. Some bikes will not even let you crank the bike up if you don't pull the clutch in. But even if it does, it's always a safe habit to just learn to always pull your clutch in to activate the motorcycle or turn it on. That way, if your bike falls out of gear, it's not going to like fly forward or something like that. So, I've got the key on, I've got the clutch pulled in, and now I'm going to push down, which is my starter, because it's integrated, and once I do that, the bike will crank up. All right, guys, so the bike is cranked up. Now, you'll notice I'm still holding the clutch in. Now, as long as you are in neutral or you have that green light, you should be able to let go of your clutch, and the bike is chilling, the bike is cranked up, and we are ready to ride this thing. All right, guys, now that we got the bike ready, let's get it rolling. So we're gonna mount the motorcycle from the left side. We're gonna swing a leg over, and we are going to pull the motorcycle upright. Now, if this is your first time that you've ever done this on a bike, now's a really good time to kind of wiggle it in between your legs. I like doing this because I do a lot of test rides on bikes, and this is a good way for me to figure out how much weight am I dealing with this specific motorcycle. This specific one is very light, so as you guys can see, I can just kind of throw it in between my legs. Now, next step, we're going to kick that kickstand back because we are in control of this mamma jamma. Similar to how we got the bike into neutral so we could get it cranked up, we're going to do a very similar step. Step 1, pull your clutch all the way in. Now, since we're in neutral, first is going to be 1 click down. So with my clutch held in and keeping it held in, I'm going to put my left foot up on the peg and I'm going to click down. Now, you guys could probably hear that. There was like a sound, and I could feel it on the motorcycle. And if we look on the dash, your bike might not have a gear indicator. This one's pretty cool, and it does. You can see that I'm in first gear. Now that I'm in first gear, and I've got my kickstand kicked back, and I've got my clutch in, I'm ready to ride this motorcycle right now. If I start letting that clutch out, the bike will start moving forward. Let me show you. I'm not doing any of this with my hands, but you guys can see that when I let that clutch out, the bike starts moving, and I can move it under its own power. Now we're ready to ride this thing. Alrighty, guys, we're gonna get this thing moving under its own power, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna explain to you guys what I'm gonna do before I do it, and then I'm gonna re-explain it while I'm doing it. And now, just a heads up, me explaining this is going to sound a lot more complicated than it actually is. Trust me, once you get out there on a bike and you start doing this, it's going to feel so much easier once you have the muscle memory built. All right, so first step, we're gonna have that clutch pulled in. We're gonna click down on our shifter. We are in first gear. We are ready to go now. The magic action that I'm gonna be doing, I'm gonna release the clutch to the point that the engine starts moving forward, and the whole goal is release the clutch at the same time as slowly giving it throttle. And once you get those actions happening together, the bike will start moving under its own power. I'm in first gear. I've got my clutch pulled in. I'm going to let my clutch out, and you guys are going to hear me pull my throttle back some, and we'll start moving forward. Together, and boom, we are moving. I am giving it the slightest amount of throttle. I'm not touching the clutch at all, and I'm now moving on the motorcycle. The bike is moving under its own power, and now you are riding a motorcycle. Now, I do recommend if you guys are practicing this, make sure to do it in an open parking lot like we are here, or maybe a really empty road or something like that. Those are fantastic places to test this stuff out, especially if it's your first time. So guys, the first time you do this, I do recommend you treat your legs like little landing gears on a plane. Don't bring your legs up on the pegs when it's your first time going, because that way if the weight gets away from you or you end up like letting the clutch go too fast, you won't have your legs dirty. As you guys can see, I'm just kind of rolling with my feet ready to go. All right, guys, now if you're not going fast enough, your bike may stall. I'll show you what it might do. And this is why you keep your feet down. And then look at that. See, there's a lot of jerkiness, and then the bike will just come to a stop because the engine's going to stop. That's why you want to keep your feet down. I had a super hard problem being really smooth on the clutch when I first started. So, dude, I just went to an open parking lot, and I just rode around feathering my clutch with my feet ready to go to catch the motorcycle. All right, so guys, now that we got the bike going, it is incredibly important to know how to make it stop. To stop, it's very similar to how we got going, kind of in reverse. So I'll explain it. Now, to stop the motorcycle, what we're going to do is we're going to rotate the throttle all the way forward, or let it go. It'll rotate forward on its own. And at the same time, we're going to pull our clutch in. All right, so I'm going to let go of the throttle. Boom, it automatically disengages. I've got my clutch pulled in. The bike's just rolling now, very similar to neutral. But now I need to actually slow the motorcycle down. I'm going to slightly squeeze on my front brake until the bike starts going really slow. This is where, like that plane with landing gear, you're going to get your feet out. I'm going to keep applying front brake, and eventually, boom, bikes can come to a stop. Feel free to have both of your legs out if you guys feel more comfortable doing that. Just as a little fun fact, with a sport bike like this, you want to use your front brake for about 70% of your braking and your rear brake for about 30%. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I almost always only use my front brake, but that is technically correct. So if you want to use your rear brake, do the same thing again, and we're going to slightly press on that rear brake as we slightly pull in on the front brake, and boom, we come to a stop. We have the weight of the motorcycle. Make sure you're keeping that clutch in, because if you let it go, the bike's going to jerk forward and it's going to stall out. What might be really good for you guys to do is do what I just did. Don't have the bike going and quickly let your clutch out and see what it's going to feel like for your bike to stall. Because if you get used to that feeling, it's going to be less scary of a thing that might happen one day, and you'll just know what it feels like. I do that all the time, and it makes me feel a lot better. I'm in traffic and I get stressed out or something like that, and I'm like, oh no, I stalled my motorcycle. What do I do now? It's not a big deal. You just crank it back up with your clutch in. Make sure you're in first and you're off riding. Alrighty guys, so we're cruising around in first gear, but inevitably you're probably going to get tired of first gear and you're going to want to shift into other gears. So let's talk about shifting. Now, again, you guys are going to notice we're building habits on top of other habits that we're doing, because there's not a ton of actions with a motorcycle. You do the same actions over and over and over again. So if you want to shift into the next gear, you are going to do the following actions. We're going to let go of the throttle and pull in the clutch. Now we're just rolling and our engine is disengaged. We're going to, with our left foot, get our foot underneath the shifter, and we're going to click upwards. Now, when you click upwards, you're going to feel a click in the engine. Now we're going to slightly let our clutch out, slightly give it throttle, and as you can see on your gear indicator up there, we are now in second gear. Explaining things always makes it seem a lot more complicated. So I'm going to do the action I just talked you guys through, how I normally would, so you can see what it normally looks like. Chilling in first, you know, riding around a parking lot. Did you guys even see that? Hold on, I'll do it again for you. I'm a regular motorcycle rider. I'm chilling. Oh, I want to go in second gear. You see how smooth that was, how quick that was? That's how fast this stuff happens. And once you have that muscle memory, you don't even think about it. You're listening for the revs of the motorcycle, and you're waiting for the motorcycle to tell you when it wants to shift into that next gear. Once you get into second, you've got all the actions you need to get all the way to sixth gear. You do exactly what I just did multiple times over. So as you can see on the gear indicator, we're going in second. Clutch in, gas off, click up fourth, gas off, clutch in fifth, and you just continue doing that to gain speed. Just know that practice is your best friend with shifting gears. Get out in the parking lot, get out in an empty road, and just start clicking up through the gears and build that muscle memory that is going to be absolutely crucial for you guys doing this constantly and smoothly. Alrighty guys, so now we're going. We now know how to shift, but let's talk about downshifting real quick, because again, you don't want to just go up. You're going to have to shift down eventually. We're going in third now. We're going to do the same thing we did to shift up. We're going to let off the throttle, pull the clutch in, and shift down. We're going to press on that rear lever, and we just went from third to second. Now to get re-engaged, we let the clutch out, we give it some throttle, and now we are in second gear. I'll get turned around and we'll do the same thing to get us back into first. Throttle out, clutch in, shifting down. We are now in first. All right, guys, now just to reiterate how to stop. We're going to let the throttle go, and it's off. We're going to pull the clutch in. We are going to apply light braking on the front and the rear, and landing gear mode. Boom. Motorcycle is stopped. If I want to go all the way, I'm going to put my left foot here. I'm going to go underneath the shifter. Half a click up. I missed it. Half a click down. There it is. And now I can let my clutch out slowly. Kickstand down. We're good. And at this point, my friends, you guys are riding a freaking motorcycle. Congratulations. Welcome to the two-wheeled fam. It is literally life-changing, or it was at least to me. Get out there, practice, get good with it, and eventually take this thing to the road. And guys, real quick, thanks to Dairyland for sponsoring this video. They are super into helping you guys getting out there and riding, and not only riding, but riding safe. If you're in the market for your next motorcycle or your next insurance company and you left your old one, you guys make sure to check out Dairyland. I'm gonna have a link in the description for you guys to check them out. Make sure your bike is insured correctly before you get on the road. It is incredibly important. At this point, guys, y'all are ready to get out there and ride. I hope you guys have a fantastic time. If you guys want more resources on how to ride a motorcycle, if this was not enough and it was too fast for you, I'm going to have tons of stuff in the description for you guys that will help you out, because I am incredibly passionate about getting more of us on two wheels. That's you watching this video. Guys, I'm Chaseontwowheels. You guys, please go out there and ride safe. Liking the video is always helpful, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments down below. I will be down there helping you guys out as much as I possibly can. You guys get out there, ride safe, have a great time on a motorcycle. It's very hard not to. I will see you guys on the next one. Later.